Welcome to Femme Fables. Megan here, and Rocky is joining me again this week.
I'm back.
If you didn't catch our last episode, He's Just Not That Into You, I recommend checking that out. And we ended it saying we're going to talk about this week about should you get back with your ex? I got a lot of opinions.
She's mostly been the one coming up with these topics, guys. On this one, she's throwing me to the wolves.
Yep. So
putting me out here in the trenches.
First, though, a lot of the people that view this channel are not subscribed because I can see the analytics. So if you like the content, you like what we're pushing out, it does take time and effort. So any support we have of the channel is greatly appreciated. So if you haven't yet, click that subscribe button, the notification bell too. It helps the algorithm, supposedly on YouTube, and getting these videos out to other people. So hopefully they can subscribe and this channel can grow. So if you already subscribed and listened through the podcast platform too, thank you so much. Again, appreciate everyone's support. We took a little hiatus, but we're back now. I'm going to consistently put out episodes. So, X's. It's tough.
And O's.
It's X's and Ho's.
X's and Ho's. See y'all, I was trying to be PG-13 and look
totally
a little
not.
fire crotch over here.
Yeah. I'm never PG. I'm
Jeez.
rated M for mature.
So, we know.
Rated M for Megan. Yes.
Rated M for Megan. That's
a
the
good
new
fucking
shit. That's dope. Ooh. Look, we got this. Look, she just wrote her own shit.
I
Didn't
did.
even know it.
So we're talking about rebranding the show, especially if Rocky's going to be
On the regular.
rated R and M.
Oh, that's dope. Stay tuned. Damn.
Sorry, y'all just saw magic happen. Magic just happened. So
24 karat magic in the air.
little Bruno. So yes, I have. Okay, so everyone's like they're an ex for a reason, which I agree.
There's different. Look, you know me. I always give you the differences.
Yeah.
So I think that sometimes people are really made for each other, and they just don't get there for whatever reason, right? So those people aren't really always exes for a reason. I think that there's more there. Like maybe it wasn't the right time, and then other people are exes because they never should have been someone you got into a relationship
Right.
with.
I think it depends on what happened in your relationship. So I've had great relationships where people it just didn't work out.
Yeah.
We can remain friendly, but
Absolutely.
we're not trying.
There's no bad blood.
Then you have those toxic relationships where it's this constant like push pull energy.
We've talked about this.
Right.
The women who want to be the alpha, the guys who are too overbearing. Like you just got to keep it right in the middle. Like.
But what about, have you ever had a relationship where somebody where you just always felt connected with them for some reason?
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
pulled. Like for some reason this
Absolutely.
person.
As soon as they hit that line, I'm like, well,
Yeah.
back
I'm
in
it.
the red, right? Talked all that shit. Now, and that's the problem with exes, right? You go to your friends, like Tonio could tell you, like he knows everything, or like Shane knows a lot, or Bert. I tell these guys these things, and then I'm like, yeah, well, so by the way, and they're like,
You're like about that.
damn, bro, here you go, right? So I think that, again, like, I think if years go by, that's just one of those things where that it just was what it was. But I think that once a person comes swinging back around, especially guys, we're
Well,
notorious.
that's the thing. It's like, yes, exactly.
Especially when we're in trouble, you get the random flowers, or we come on too thick,
I've had many exes or people I've dated reach back out to me, and it's like, okay, are they just bored, or they just want their ego stroked? They're just going through the list, like who was good enough, but maybe I wasn't. What?
Listen, come on now. It's something there. It's something that pulls the magnet. It could be sex. It could be chemistry. It could be legit. Hey, I fucked up. And see, I told you, and I tell all you ladies, we don't know. Like we're not emotional, so we don't know how to just hone in and say, listen, like I fucked up. I went over here and was trying this, and I kept trying this, but that's not what it really was for me.
Yeah.
Which kind of raises a red flag anyway, because then you guys never believe us,
She said something about years going by. So here's what's interesting, what I think is about that. So I know people who've spent years apart and got back together. but they're different people
now.
So the issues that potentially could have been before aren't there now, or they're at a level where they've matured and learned a lot. At least that's what I like to believe, and I probably live in a little bit of fantasy land.
No, because like I said, there are people. There was a time in my life where I looked back on situations that I was like, damn, like, what was I thinking? Mm-hmm. Like, this person, you know, checked all these boxes. And I think all of this stuff comes with a lot of growth and maturity and life experiences. Like, as you begin to grow and you experience that growth, it's not the same as back then. Maybe this person was the one, but you still wanted to, you know, in the guy's case, talk to other women or go out or chill with the boys all the time. And you didn't realize that has to be a balance when you're in a really, really committed relationship. So I think it all depends. And I know that myself personally. Like, I've talked shit. Like, Antonio, fuck this bitch. Fuck this bitch. Fuck this bitch. And then, like, you know, he's like, You know, so I think we as humans, not just men or women, have a problem admitting to the fact that in most cases, the person I feel like that hurts you the worst is like the person you really love or the person you end up with.
Yeah.
Because just like you grow through what you go through, right? So like
you grow through what you go through.
So once you get to a growth situation with that person, it could change the game. It could be years from now. It could be months from now. You know, myself personally, it was probably about a 3-year period I wasn't with the person, and I was like, damn, me thinking about what's wrong with me? Because my block list is long. I mean, it's as long as the Candy Grudge. Like, so the fact that I never blocked her, or if I did block her, it would be brief. I'd be like,
in that moment of yes.
And then I'd all of a sudden, you know, unblock her. That's when I kind of knew, like, damn, I did fumble this one. I mean, I could even go back as far as when we were kids and be like, okay, I fumbled this one, but I was fucking 20 years old.
Right, you're a kid.
So I just think that there's always a person that you're really meant to be with. It's just, there's always mitigating circumstances, like I said, and things happen. And I think there's two sides to that. Sometimes it clouds our judgment, and then other times we just don't know that fucker isn't right for us.
Right. So I've had, you know, a particular person where it's like it ended, you know, here's the thing too though, when you react like this bitch, like it's usually the ones you love the most that you're like,
I know,
I'm gonna talk the most shit about you because you hurt me so bad.
And I've told you this when we talk off camera, like I've kind of shown that vulnerability, right? That like I talked all that shit and I talk all this shit, but it's like if one woman in particular, if she was like, I'm done with you, I'll never talk to you again, and you know, I had to think about her giving her back to the hood, it just won't happen. Like, that's just, you know, so it's difficult, and women too, because y'all are at dinner talking shit about us, drinking wine.
Oh, yeah.
Girl, he said, I mean, it wasn't bigger than Brian anyway, girl. Like, we know how flawed y'all fucking are. Like, I got homeboys that work at restaurants, plus I have mostly sisters, so I know the deal. And so that kind of ruins things a little bit because, again, y'all are naturally more emotional than us. So,
or you have a podcast where you talk about it.
Right. And then your girl's like, what are you doing talking to him? You know, like Sabrina just now, right?
Yeah, so, that face.
Damn, that face was priceless. Yeah. So, I mean, it just is what it is. And like you said, I just think it's the people that you go through the most shit with and talk the most shit about it. Because you're right, you talk shit because you're not getting your way.
Yeah. Or you're...
It's like a kiddie thing.
Or... Yeah, you're just hurt.
You're hurt, so you talk
it's
shit
your ego,
because you're hurt.
Like, it's a lot of things that, like, you know, you go through, and, you know, there's hurt and pain.
It's a pride
100%. And then...
Especially in your case, being successful on that. Oh, fuck this motherfucker, I'll get someone eventually.
Yeah, well, how's that?
I don't need a fucking guy. 7 months, no meter. 7 months, no meter. What does that tell y'all?
Go back to the last episode so you can, 28 minutes, 30 seconds in, you understand what he's talking about. But But there's also those people that you just never stop thinking about. Like,
I know, and I you know,
I'm
say,
like, is that because it was a toxic relationship? It's because we actually have chemistry? Is it because I really love this person?
Yeah, but
what is it?
It's all of that though. It's like I feel like people who tell me they don't really have relationship problems and things like that, or they're, you know, my house is my shit's easy.
It's a fucking lie.
For one, it's a lie, but that shit's boring. I mean, if my girl ain't cussing me out every once in a while or telling me to pick up my own shit for a change, like,
yeah,
I don't take her seriously. Like, I was talking to my boys one day about that. Like, I feel like the relationships I've taken for granted are the ones where I'm just, you know, able to do whatever the fuck I want.
Yeah.
Versus, you know you can't fuck up over here.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So.
And I think it depends on the situation of like why you broke up. If there's cheating involved and things like that, I think that's a lot harder to get past. I think it's doable.
It's doable.
It takes a shit ton of fucking work and trust
building. The reason
building.
why people don't ever, like me, I've gotten back with exes and the shit didn't work is because you quickly get back into that comfort thing. Like you're used to, you guys had a routine and maybe you pick back up on the routine. But then there's never really any effort, and like I think that you'd have to continue to date, and you'd have to really have that friendship type of foundation there. So, I mean, like I said, I'm inclined to believe that as much as people think, oh, okay, I was in love or over here, or I thought I was. I think you can love people but not be in love with them. I think there's probably one person that crosses your path that you're really in love with, that you're really in tune with, and it's a number of factors. It isn't just how a girl looks or how big her butt is. I mean that counts. I'm sorry, it's just like I don't do the flat butt thing. So I mean you got a little something, that's cool. But if you got nothing, that's just I'm sorry. Have you at my gym just
doing squats
number squats.
Yeah.
Don't look at me. Go stand in the corner and squat. So, but I just feel like there's people that you just, no matter what, that's who you really are in love with. I think the rest of those that come along that I thought I was in love. No, it's either lust or you love them, but you're not in love with them.
Yeah.
So I think that you meet that one person and people may look at you like you're crazy and what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, why can't you get past this? Or you got this going on, Megan, or you got your shit together. What's wrong with you? But my grandmother used to say this all the time. You can't help who you love.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think too, I was saying to somebody the other day that you could also love somebody and know that you're not good together.
Yeah,
and
that's the battle though, is that where if that's the case, people need to be adults, be friends. Like do shit that you would do with me and you. We're friends. That's it, right? So if me and you would go ride bikes, go fucking ride bikes with him. If I'm gonna go ride bikes with Megan, I could go ride bikes with her. If we, so people have to actually put forth the effort, and I think that we're so infatuated with the fact that I'm back talking to this person, or you start to think about what it could have been and what it was, that you don't focus on right now, what's in front of you. You have to build from there.
Yeah.
So that's why that always happens. I feel like, I think that if you really love someone, that there's no such thing that is not working it out.
Yeah.
Or coming back together and really making it work out. You just have to, it involves, like I said, both people putting forth an actual effort.
Right. Yeah, there has to be reciprocation. It can't just be one person putting in all the work and the other one just kind of is like,
that's just
I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want.
That's boring anyway. Like I've told you before, like the girl that just lets me do what I want, when I was younger, that shit was attractive. Now that shit's like, really? I don't have any rules?
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to go find the bitch that gives me the rules.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, the X factor is always tricky.
Yeah.
Right? Because I think that there's exes that hit you up and you don't respond, or if you do, it's, generic. And then there's exes you're like, damn, as much as this is crazy and I was just on here talking this shit or whatever, I'm happy to hear from you.
Yeah.
Type of deal.
Yeah. And I think too, I think the difference is too, okay, well, what's their intention? Are they just bored or whatever? That's going to all come out in the wash with actions, right? People can say a lot of shit. They can say a lot of words.
I always say actions speak louder than words.
100%.
And I know so many people who rely on words. No,
Yeah.
I want to see fucking action.
Yeah.
Period. Show me what you're working with.
Right. So
Seriously.
you're experiencing, maybe you rekindled with an ex or talking to an ex, you know, it's all about that action. If there was something in the relationship that you weren't getting, you know what I mean? And they're like, oh, I'm going to change, I'll do better, whatever. Then what happens?
Hold
3
them
months.
accountable.
Yeah.
Accountability.
Change. Yeah. Exactly.
Do it in 90-day spurts.
Yeah.
Say, look, we're going to work on this for 90 days because that's when things become habit, right?
You know what's funny? I was watching something too. It just clicked in my mind when you said that, like 90 days or whatever, and it kind of like have a check-in. And I was watching something, a podcast or YouTube
She
or whatever.
probably was watching 90 Day Fiance, y'all.
No. I did watch that Married at First Sight show. So, but not many partners, and this is even about ex, but partnerships. How many partnerships have you been in? Has your partner looked at you and been like, hey, I just wanted to make sure, are you really happy in this relationship? Or is there anything that I could be doing to make sure this relationship? Have you had anybody that ask you that?
No, not on a regular
Not
basis,
regular, but like,
just like we were having a discussion and she kind of went down the line of like, kind of was like, I feel like sometimes I'm bothering you, or I don't want to be a burden, or yeah. So she kind of was like, you have this issue, this reservation. I'm trying to listen to what you're saying so that I could kind of avoid what we're going through right now, but also try to improve.
Mm-hmm.
So that was once.
No, that was not.
One day I'm gonna marry the bitch.
I was like, what happened to her? Go get her back.
Ride or die.
Yeah, I was like, go get her back. But I was like, I've never said that in a relationship. It kind of was a light bulb moment for me.
But that's crazy because that's not. I mean, and that's such a simple thing, right?
But no, I don't. I think
none of us do it, and that's what I said.
We
It's
expect
like,
this relationship's going smoothly. We spend all this time together. Meanwhile, your boyfriend is sitting there like, God, I'm really not sexually pleased in this relationship.
but that's because everyone
Or whatever.
blames wanting an easy personal life or relationship on work.
Yeah.
Oh, at work I have to make all these decisions, and I'm a boss, and this, and that. So when I get home, I just want it to be easy. If you get stuck in anything easy, take it from fucking personal experience. I have been in a relationship before where there were no fucking rules. That shit gets boring.
Yeah.
It gets boring. So if you're not constantly dating, if you're not keeping that, that door open, that line of communication open, like, as I want a spouse where I know I can go to her no matter what. Mm-hmm. No matter what. I don't want to be with someone where I'm lying to them like I did my mom when I was a kid because I'm afraid to get chastised or bitched at or nagged or, So that kind of stuff is important.
Yeah.
So everyone thinks simplicity is just coming home every night the same. They think routines is
So
what
I think there's a
relationships
difference.
are based on.
There's ease, which I think most relationships should be easy as far as the flow of it.
Yeah.
Chemistry,
Yeah.
connection,
Yeah.
communication, trust, that thing.
We ain't talking
But
about
then,
that.
right, you're talking about the more routine, like mundane, like I come home, we have dinner at 7,
That shit's
and we
boring.
watch Netflix.
That shit
and we
is
do this.
absolutely boring.
Which those are great things of a relationship, though. That's comfortability. But I get what you're saying. Like, if somebody said to me, "Oh my God, I'm in a relationship and we never fight," I would be like, "That's a little weird," because you always have disagreements. It's not the fact. I think we live in a world where people want to show the perfect side of everything, right? Social media, Facebook, Instagram.
On social
right?
media, on social media, all them relationships.
The more they post about it, the worse the relationship
No
is.
disrespect to anybody who really has the shit going on, because I do have friends and
That's
family
true.
that are happy as shit and they just like to do that. But the last relationship that I was in that was public turned out to be a fucking disaster. And what's all
So
I'm
did
saying?
the social media portray what was really going on?
No, hell no.
Yeah. Right? All like happy, look, we're
And
so
that's
in
why I
love,
can't
and
get
it's
back
like you're
into that
fighting,
kind
yeah.
of routine. I can't just get back to that. Like when we were trying to work something out one time, she was like, you don't even post. And I'm like, I never did post. No one's ever known my personal life. But at the end of the day, like I slipped. That pandemic, it was the COVID-19.
Mm-hmm.
It got to my head.
Yeah.
That's why I allowed that briefly.
Ah.
So I just think that, unfortunately, a lot of times people are in relationships for like comfort reasons, or
Oh yeah.
I'm with her because she makes more money than Megan, and she bought me a Hellcat, or
Mm-hmm.
like I'm with him because he bought me the new G-Wagon and Rocky didn't, like, it should never be about any of that bullshit. And the end of the day, people just don't keep it real anymore. Like I say, like, be true to self. At the end of the day, like, you have to really, like I told you earlier, like, you also gotta go for what you really want. Like, I'm at an age anymore where I'm just not gonna be in a situation where I'm like, hey, just because I got a girl,
right?
You know, or just because I'm married. Like, life, like, after going through some of the things I know you've gone through, I've gone through, friends, everyone, people who watch this worldwide. I mean, you should get to a point in life, especially, I think that in that 40 range is where people start to be like, you know what? I want that comfortable situation, but something that always is also challenging.
Yeah.
Because that's why people fight a lot, and where relationships become challenging is because there's no challenge in the situation. So when Megan starts working more, and now I know Megan's making more and more and more, I have two sides. I can be the supportive person, which means, you know, that I'm in love and I love that person no matter what, and then I can be the other nagging side and never really show that person that, hey, you know, I'm gonna ride with you regardless.
Yeah.
So end of the day, I think that's all important.
Yeah, I just don't. I think what I've learned from a podcast and meeting a lot of people and talking about this and going through a breakup when I first started it, that love isn't black and white. And love is very illogical, right? It's not a logical emotion.
There's so many gray areas when it comes to that love.
And if my friend came to me and was like, and I've had friends go back to their exes, and of course I've been like, be careful, like, just make sure the same things don't happen that happened last time. Don't fall into that same trap. You know, and what happened, the same things happened or whatever, you know. You got to be mindful of that. Like, you still have to have some logic. Okay, how did it end, right? Because I think that matters. And is this person going to do the same things to me again? And how am I, you know, and not just jumping right back in and be like, oh my God, we're gonna be madly in love, and what happens is people are stuck in what it was in the beginning.
They get complacent
and not now. Like, so when your ex reaches out, you're like, oh, like, we had great sex and we had such a good time together in the beginning.
Let's jump right back in.
Okay, right, but what about all the other shit that happened in between?
That's why I said you gotta, like, do it in little increments.
Yeah.
Like, and I honestly suggest couples counseling for most people.
Oh, yeah. I think everybody should have couples counseling.
Based on what I've been through, like, I think that if I were to ever, you know, be with someone that I was with in my past that I felt like I really loved, or just anyone now in general, I would believe that even at good times that you always gotta have, like, a neutral third party.
Yeah.
At some point.
I just think it's good too to learn what other people don't understand is, like, communication is such a big part of a relationship, and so many people are bad communicators. So fucking bad. They fail at
it. And that's what I say. I've literally been with someone who, you know, they live on Snapchat and they need all this attention. They need this and that. But when it gets down to real world things, and I'm like having these discussions, it's, you know, I don't get a response for a day or two.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. More of surface level stuff, not just deep, like, not.
Yeah, no, people don't dig deep enough with each. You know, I know people who are together for a million years. I know more about their spouse than they do.
Yeah.
You know, like, people don't sit down and just. My thing has always been, I like to, you know, talk about things that I've been through, or just, you know, talk about the past, how I grew up, fun times, you know, different shit.
Yeah.
You know, I got a million cousins, you know, I got, you know, tons of family. I talk about that stuff because I think it's important to get to know people. Mm-hmm. So when I hear someone say, oh, well, I don't naturally really share my life is kind of secret, or, you know, I'm like, damn, well, how are you ever going to be in a relationship if you can't
because those are the things,
I've had
like,
someone
that
tell me that.
Develop, like, that talks about kind of, that makes you who you are. Like, we were talking outside, and I was like, I didn't grow up. I lived in a wealthy area and went to a wealthy school, but I didn't have it.
Shit, I got bussed in. At least you lived in the area. They bust me
but
in
it was
from,
my grandmother's
from the
house.
hood.
Yeah,
you know?
it was my grandmother's house.
My grandma's house was in the hood. You know, so we, you know, I tell people that's a little bit why I am the way I am. Yeah. I shouldn't have a truck and a, you know, muscle car, but I do.
Right. Yeah.
I'm trying to get a third, or fourth, or fifth, or sixth, and a seventh one. You know.
Yeah, because we weren't I wasn't given that stuff. So yeah, now I want a nice house and I want a nice car and, you know, because I can, you know, afford it, you know, and do that for myself. But anyway, so like, I think too, if you're thinking about getting back to an ex too, like the whole communication piece, like, and a lot of people don't like being called out on their shit, right? And
well, that's the thing. There's no accountability. People like to only push their little narrative on you. Like, as soon as you say, well, okay, cool, I'm open to listen to you, that doesn't mean I'm a fool and I'm not going to rebuttal.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's the other thing. People are scared to just be vulnerable. And
they really are.
So if you tell me, if you check me, I may say something about you, but that doesn't mean that I'm going tit for tat. It's like a balance.
Yeah.
And people are just so afraid of that. So you get called out, and then all of a sudden you go into your little shell and you shut down. And I think that's a childish way of handling shit. When people are like, I just shut down. I'm like, okay, well then I'm just going to shut the fuck up, man, if you're going to shut down.
Blocked. No.
Blocked, bitch.
But that's the thing too, is that like, I think those things need to be talked out. If you're talking to an ex, it's like, these were issues I had. Like, okay, I was jealous in the relationship. I need to know. I'm a words of affirmation person. That's my love language. So you could give me diamonds and I'd be like, okay, that's pretty, but like, tell me I'm pretty. Yeah. Tell me you love me. Tell me you're thinking about me. Tell me you miss me. I need that to feel confident in my relationship. And I've dated men who weren't able to give that to me. Yeah. Because it was awkward for them. They're not verbally expressive.
I don't need it a lot. I just, need it every once in a while. So I had dated someone who was like, well, you were talking to this girl and that girl. I'm like, because at least they tell me every day I'm worthy. Like, I'm not looking for much, so.
But I think addressing the issues, like if you're getting back with somebody where there were issues, you got to address them. And I think
you got to go down the list of pros and cons.
You're doing yourself a disservice if you just jump right back into something without addressing it, because just you had really great sex and really great chemistry, so you're hoping that that's going to be enough. And yeah, that's great in a relationship, and it's important to me, but that's not what's going to fucking go the distance.
Yeah. That's an important part, and that's great to have that connection. But I feel like the better things are outside the bedroom, the better it is in the bedroom. Because sex is mental, whether people believe it or not.
Oh, 100%. See, that's why I told you I don't want to have casual sex. It's just not as fulfilling. It's not fulfilling.
It's not the same.
Having an emotional, mental connection with somebody and being physical with them is so much better than just some random fucking dude. Like,
and that's what I tell people when people try to call me out on, my shenanigans. Like, yeah, I used to be whorish. It is what it is, but as I've gotten older, I'm like, I don't even want to fuck this girl just to be like, oh, I fucked another girl. Like, it's not even about that no more.
Yeah.
Like,
it's not fun.
I'm getting old. Yeah. Like, I'm not gonna get it up. Sorry, if I'm not into you.
Yeah.
And I don't have that connection with you. It don't work like that. I ain't 18 no more.
Yeah. So have you gotten back with an ex before?
Yeah, and it did not work. It was a nightmare because.
Do you feel like you addressed issues though, or was it like, hey,
we addressed a lot of issues from the past.
Yeah.
But she never moved past that stuff, and it got to a point where it was just toxic, because I'm like, we're talking about this stuff,
wouldn't let it
these
go.
women, this stuff every day.
And
then when I wanted to discuss men, she would be like, oh, I never did anything, or she'd be like, what I did is nothing compared to what you did. And her terminology was, I was telling Ashley this shit, I was like, she told me that our crimes aren't the same, and I'm like, what are we, kids? Like, it doesn't matter if we.
It doesn't matter.
You didn't have to go fuck a guy. You went out on a date, and you're trying to hound me because my situation made it a little farther. I ended up dating someone.
Yeah.
So I just feel like it gets to a point that if you don't set expectations up front and all you're doing is talking about what you did when you weren't together, it just doesn't work.
Yeah, but I think so many people, they just, because you love the person, you're like, oh, I want to get back together, like, you see the message from and they reach out and you're like, hearts.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that shit's awesome.
And then your brain shuts down because it's like, I'm just so excited to hear from this person again. I never stopped thinking about him. But then logically you're like, okay, well, there are all these issues. Trust was broken or what have you. Building that up. But you also can't get back with somebody and crucify them for their sins every day.
You can't. And that's the thing.
It's not going to work. Then don't do it. Like
me, I'm not going to be like, oh, you were messing with him. And then I don't care about that shit.
Yeah, I care about what's in front of me. You have to either let it go and start from where you're at.
Give you the worst anxiety. And I told her, I was like, you say I give you anxiety. No, you give yourself anxiety, chick. Like, get a Xanax or something. Yeah. Like, it's bad. So that's key. You just can't live in the past. That stuff is never healthy.
And if trust is broken, I don't know if you date anybody like this, but if you're like, the trust is broken and a girl gets back, I'm just going female perspective. You get back with a guy, you broke your trust or whatever, and you're like looking up his social media. How many people is he following? What's his new followers? Who's this bitch? Like, I want to look through his phone. I want to look through his emails. Like, I could not imagine a life where I dated somebody where I lived with that anxiety every day. Like, fuck it, I don't care how much I love you. That's the kind of thing. I could love you to death and you could have been the love of my life, but if that's going to be my life every day, I ain't having it.
I'm good on it.
And that's I love you, but it's not a good relationship for me.
That's why I ended it with her.
Right.
I mean, because I was like, you don't see that I'm living in the present and that I'm trying to be there. And it still stands. I work hard. I mean, I always worked hard then, just like I do now. And it would just be it wasn't enough time, and this wasn't that, and you probably were with her, and it'd be we were supposed to. It's
exhausting.
And we're all human. There might be a time. How many times have we said we're gonna do podcasts? This is not something comes up
all the time.
So her thing would be like, you gotta honor all commitments, and I'm like, dude, if I can't make it there at 5 o'clock, that just doesn't happen. And then it would turn into the other girls and talking about this and saying I've always done that, and it's like, okay, we just gotta part ways. Just don't be nagging each other. Period, man.
Yeah,
everybody try to get along, like, and if you got an ex out there that you think you should give a buzz, give them a buzz. It doesn't hurt. You miss every shot you don't take. You never know.
Right.
Fellas, she might actually still be out here celibate for 7 months. I mean.
Okay, stop picking on me.
So, and hopefully, on your side.
My phone's gonna be ringing off the hook. You're talking about later.
No, fellas, y'all gotta go through the Rock Hotline first from now on.
The Rock Hotline.
So, we appreciate y'all tapping in as always. Yes. It's always fun to see the male and female perspective. Mm-hmm. This is why this is very exciting, and we just want y'all to continue to like, subscribe, give us some. Go ahead and we'll take some constructive criticism.
100%.
We're totally open to that. So
we're still building this podcast out. It hasn't been around that long. It'll be 2 years, I think, in November. So it's still pretty new. But if you've gotten back with your ex and it's succeeded, if you've gotten back with an ex and it failed, we'd love to hear from you. Comment on the video if you're watching on YouTube, or you can email us at femmefables@gmail.com. I love getting people's stories. So, but we appreciate you guys tuning in and sticking with us, and we will see you on the next one. Bye.
Bye.